Hey everyone, Enrique here. Welcome to another episode of the All In Recruiting Podcast brought to you by the Purple Acorn Network. I'm so excited to be here today again. Today's guest is a friend of mine here in the Pacific Northwest. Her name is Ashley Waddington. She's a founder of Ponder This Consulting. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Enrique. I'm happy to be here.
How are you? How's the weather for you in our same city of Portland here?
You know, the cloud cover kind of feels good, but at the same time, I do miss the sun. Like we have to really soak it up while we have it. But so far, so good. Things are well. So
I love it. I was hanging out with some friends this weekend, and one person's like, you got to start to kind of be more strategic about who you say yes to and who you don't say yes to, because we only have so many weekends left of like sunshine. So it's like,
so
do
true.
I get to be greedy and just like do what I want when it's sunny outside? Or do I go to that kid's birthday party, which I don't want to go to?
Yeah, the challenges of all the birthday parties in the summer.
Well, Ashley, I'm so excited to have you as a guest today. We've known each other for a couple of years. I always like to start kind of this new podcast off with, it's a simple idea, but like, hey, pretend we're in a cab. It's like a 4 or 5 minute cab ride.
Okay.
And tell us kind of who you are, your career, and where you are now and what you do in this short little cab ride.
Okay, short little cab ride. Who am I? I'm Ashley. I live in the Pacific Northwest. But no, we met in recruiting space. And so that's kind of how we made this connection. But I'm a founder of a consulting company that focuses on training and upskilling middle management teams. It was not my path or my plan, but here we are. Before that, I worked in staffing for 5 years at a big staffing firm. And that's how we got connected.
Mm-hmm.
In my lives before that, I've bartended, I've served, I've worked at Pita Pit, I've been an HR manager and leader. I've been kind of all over the map. I've run a medical office. So I'm a little bit of everything. And now I'm a founder trying to navigate that.
Man, there's so much there. And I feel like there's a lot of people that probably resonate with your kind of career trajectory, right? From, like you said, doing a little bit of everything to now finding yourself as a founder. So I definitely want to touch on a lot of these things with you. I want to talk about kind of your early career. I feel like, you went through some of those roles that you mentioned, and then you got into staffing, which is a little bit of a longer stint for you. And then I want to talk about kind of like what it's like for you to be a founder. So tell me how you kind of tell the audience, and just so you know, the audience is kind of people from all walks of life, whether it's people that are looking for work, people that are hiring. So definitely people that you might potentially future clients, hopefully. Cross my fingers for you. Early career, what strengths do you see within yourself? And then kind of how do you get into the staffing world?
Oh man, what a question. Early career was service because I was putting my way through college. So I worked my whole way through college. I studied nutritional science and was going to be a dietitian, and met a couple of entrepreneurs actually in my early 20s that were in the dietetics, chiropractic, just kind of wellness industry, and changed my perspective on what that would really look like in terms of lifestyle and work balance and things like that. And so that made me realize I actually may want to go a different route, and left college actually at that point to pursue being an entrepreneur, but like getting the skill set to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things that people maybe don't realize, especially with social media glamorizing what it is to be an entrepreneur, is you do have to still acquire skills to become one, right? Like you have to know how to talk to people and manage people and learn softwares and understand how to navigate the market that you're in. And so I went into the office world after that, went into sales actually, and hated every day of my life. I was selling, it was a one-call close of marketing to realtors. Both of my parents are realtors, and let me tell you, they are some of the hardest people to call because they're people, so they know how to shut you down. And so
they like reverse engineer your sell, like
exactly like the objection handling, like they already know how to do it all.
Yeah.
You have to sell to salespeople unless you have something that they really genuinely need, want, desire. But it's also a very satisfying sale when you do. But I failed miserably in that job, but they liked me as a person. So they put me in a different department. They put me in customer success. And eventually the HR director lost her right hand and she moved me
Oh,
from customer success to HR. And that's how I ended up in the HR world originally. I learned everything from her. She was a huge mentor to me.
wow.
But that was also the first time in my career I got laid off. And I had to lay off the whole office with my director
No.
before we laid ourselves off.
And this is before, I mean, I'm not trying to make light of it, but this is before how times are now, right? Now it's
for sure.
every day there's some headlines, X company lays off, 25 people, X company lays off 150 to thousands of people. I feel like it's in the culture, it's a little bit more, you kind of become a little bit more desensitized to some way or extent. But for you back then, I mean, I'm sure it was a blow.
Huge blow. And here's the thing, like, one, laying people off is really hard, right? So it's hard to be laid off. It's hard to be the one that says, hey, and the way that we handled it, was tough, but
Yeah.
it's never easy to say, hey, you're going to lose your job today to anybody. It's hard to be in that scenario. It's hard to tell someone that. So I have a lot of empathy for HR just for the sole fact that they are doing a lot of really hard things on a daily basis that often does not get acknowledged or necessarily the right level of appreciation. I think sometimes
Right.
there's really challenging things that they navigate in kind of the quiet and they
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
praise for. But also being in my early 20s at that point, you don't get laid off in your early 20s. Like, it was
Right.
unheard of, and I was very confused. And disappointed, but it was also out of our control. They were
Yeah.
closing down
Yeah.
the office. And so, we liquidated the office. I literally sold every piece of furniture in that office. I laid
Wow.
off every employee. Yeah. And then I laid myself off. So
I
interesting.
mean, I just kind of want to I want to double click into that experience, like, and pause it, but then also think about today. Like, do you feel like that experience now looking back? Do you feel like that kind of built you a little bit for how the world moves today? Like, do you feel like you talk differently to clients, engage differently with your clients, and like teach them things that like maybe you saw back then that you see now, help them see now? Like, I feel like I've always thought of you as like an optimistic person,
Oh,
like realist, and the things we go through are the things that shape us, right? And
oh,
so, do you feel like it's helped? I guess the question is, do you feel like it's helped you in your career now, going through that cruddy time?
I think everything can help you in your career if you allow it to.
For
I
sure.
just think it's the work is allowing it to. And that is not always an easy thing. And at the
Hmm.
time, I felt very defeated. And it was very hard to know my last day was coming and still be asked to do so much work. That was really I think it tested my character at
Mm,
that moment in time, but I have a higher level of empathy for my clients, for the people that I work with now, because I had to navigate that from kind of both
right.
sides. I think that people experience layoffs oftentimes from one side, but not from both. That's a very unique
Hmm. Hmm.
an experience that's exclusive, I think, to HR in most cases.
And so then now how do you get into staffing?
So from there, where did I go from there? So from there, I got into, actually project management and HR. So my first ever HR leadership position was for a hospitality firm. We had 5 hotels at the time, and we were building a sixth.
Wow.
And that was a cool experience, but I was the HR manager, but I was also a project manager for all these projects with the CEO. So I learned a ton and I cut my teeth on all kinds of things, but
Mhm.
I that was my experience of being thrown in and not really knowing how to lead people and how to jump in as the leader of, like, jumping in with general managers and trying to lead them in how
Yeah.
they lead their teams. So that was quite an experience. Amazing. I learned a ton, but I also ended up in the ER twice in my
Jeez.
year
Goodness.
of working there because of stress and just workload. So,
I'm not trying to laugh, but I feel like you've gone through what the world is going through, but like before the world went through it.
oh man, I
You
have
know?
5 lives in.
I feel like now it's like I see a lot of times on LinkedIn, I see posts like, "Oh my God, I'm going through this." I'm like, I mean, I have empathy for people, but I feel like, yeah, I mean, it's not, how do I say this? People have always been going through what people are going through now. It's just that now we have social media, we have instant, immediate posts. Like I always tell people, it's kind of like Like, would Michael Jordan be as popular or as sought after if like we had social media back when he was, like at his prime? I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'd be super excited to like, see him tweeting about poker night after a game. Like
I mean, that's a fair
great.
assessment.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I like Michael Jordan, one of the goats, but like, if would we have perceived him the same if social media was, popping back then? So I don't know. It's an interesting thought. Anyways, back to
Yeah.
staffing.
Oh,
So how do you get into staffing? You're in the ER. You're like, I can't do this. Go to
so
staffing.
I
A
went
more
to,
stressful world.
no, actually, I ended up going into the medical world after that.
Hmm.
I went and worked for a doctor that I was working with on just healing.
Mm.
And I took over his office and he told me he would get me all the resources to learn medical billing and all of that. And long story short, he didn't do that. And so all of a sudden I was in charge of a medical office and I don't know how to do medical billing and I don't understand this software that I'm using and everything's on my shoulders because it's me and this doctor. And that was probably the time in my career where I felt like I had taken the wrong step the first time, maybe.
Mm.
uh, but long story short, I ended up leaving that and getting into project management at an advertising agency. Was there for, I don't know, a year and a half, and
Mhm.
then ended up getting scooped up by a staffing agency from there.
And what was it about the staffing that scooped you?
I wanted to make more money.
Yeah,
I
for
had been
sure.
working really hard on getting out of my comfort zone. And I felt like I had a very, very thick ceiling where I was.
Mhm.
And I was working a lot of hours and not making a lot of money. And
Yeah,
so, and I was in a unique situation too. And I know a lot of people find themselves in this situation, but I couldn't afford to live on my own. I was losing my long term roommate. And I was
yeah,
at a place in my life where I'm like, how can I not afford to live on my own when I work 80 hours a week?
for
So,
sure. Yeah,
kind of sobering moment of something has to
yeah,
change.
yeah. So then you have this great career in recruiting. You kill it. You're doing your thing. When in your mind do you think to yourself, I want to start my own thing?
So I got laid off from that staffing firm due to just cuts
Yeah.
in the economy. I didn't see it coming. Like I kind of did, but I kind of didn't at the same
Mhm.
time. There was a lot going on in that organization at the time.
Yeah.
But also the economy had been rough for a long time. So I was in I think the sixth round of cuts that
Mm.
happened, which just brutal, right? How do you keep morale high when it's just like one after another? But I ended up actually, I was applying for a lot of jobs. I was interviewing,
Yeah.
and number one question for all of them
Mhm.
was, "What's your leadership team like? What's your leadership style? How do
Like
you?"
that's what you were asking
That's what
people.
I was asking
Oh,
companies,
okay. Yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
especially in sales teams, when you
A
have.
little bit forward, Ashley. A little bit. That's a little bit forward. A little bit intrusive to the companies.
I am a firm believer that it's a mutual partnership at the end of the day. If I'm going to commit my 40 hours or more of my week for the next
Oh
5,
yeah.
15, 20 years, I'm going to be respectful in interviews, but I'm going to ask the questions that I need to ask to make sure that we're in alignment and I can really be there for 20 years and be happy there and thrive there and grow there. And leadership was a big pain point for me
Yeah.
at that point. And I'm from Hawaii, you know that, but
Mhm.
probably doesn't. So I was in Hawaii just kind of recuperating my energy from
Yeah, yeah.
emotional wave that comes with being laid off. And I just had a thought, what if I took a risk on myself for the first time in my life for real? And if it doesn't work, I'll go back to corporate and, I'll find an organization along the way that really I can bring value to and that, wants me there and wants me to be able to grow there. And if not, if I succeed, then cool. I built this thing and it's
Yeah.
a piece of me.
Yeah, and so then tell us a little bit about kinda what you do now, kinda a little bit of the elevator pitch of kinda your business.
So I actually started Ponder This Consulting as a recruiting business, which
Mhm.
because that's what I knew the most recently. And I kind of had this come to Jesus moment with myself and with a business coach of, is this really what I want to build or is this just what I'm most comfortable with?
Right.
the answer was. This is what I'm most comfortable with. So when I really got down to what is the problem I want to solve in the world, what is the legacy that I want to leave? How do I want to leave people better? It came down to management. It came down to equipping managers with the tools they need to be successful. HR teams are usually always running thin.
Yeah.
Learning teams are usually running very thin. And so they're asked to do a lot with a little. And there's a lot of resources for senior leaders and retreats and things like that. And that's so important. But I just see a very underserved community in that middle tier, those core
Yeah.
managers. And so that's what I do now. I train core managers for companies, and it's been a journey getting here, but it's something that I'm really passionate about. And I really truly believe that when you take care of the middle,
Yeah.
everything gets better. Like, and from culture to productivity to
Mhm.
ROI to rollouts of new technology, there's such a crucial piece that I think we really ignore.
I love that. And so who's your like target person that, if you're hearing this, who would be the target person that you'd want to get their attention so that they can say, "Hey, man, I would like to reach out to Ashley about kind of how she does what she does."
So I'm always open to conversations, but honestly, the most conversations I've been having have been with HR leaders that are looking to solve this problem, looking to
Yeah.
solve turnover, manager performance, productivity issues. Those are really the people that tend to gravitate, but I'm open to talking to
Yeah.
anybody who cares about solving the problem because caring is the first step to really driving change in corporate America.
And are those the main issues or the most prominent issues within a workplace for middle managers? Like how they manage, change, like what are the most common things that you feel now today? Like let's talk about post COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I feel like COVID is kind of crazy. Like
Leaders.
the world went upside down. Like people call it the Thanos snap, kind of post Thanos snap.
Oh, that's a
Um, I think of it like that. I mean, we all disappeared for like
ah,
2 years, and then we all come back and it's like, whoa, we could
with
work from anywhere. What just happened? Culture. What does that even mean?
yeah.
Um, what do you see? Like, what are the issues that you see middle management struggle with? I've heard, just to give you a thought, I've heard that during COVID, it was middle management that like got everything. Like middle management had to take on so much more, but they weren't equipped with
Yeah.
tools, ability, skills. And then boom, post COVID, that's who's being let go because they're just kind of like some of the easiest people to, get rid of to some extent or another. But what are the things that people in middle management are struggling with?
There's so much, Enrique. But the first core issue is the staggering numbers of people that don't get trained into management. So,
Yes.
from being a really strong individual contributor in most cases to now leading individual contributors, two
Mhm.
different skills, but we don't acknowledge that. We don't train that. And so often you see someone who's a really strong individual contributor now be responsible for a team and they start failing every day because they
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing. And often they end up micromanaging because what do you know how to do? The thing that you are doing. So you want to do the thing you're good at that gives you positive reinforcement and recognition, but that's no longer your job anymore. And
Mhm.
we don't really acknowledge that. And it's kind of this silent pain point that happens, or it's just tenure. Someone's been here long enough. We got
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
somebody, and they might not even want to lead people. That might not be the way that they want to grow. And so, from a structural standpoint, is the only way to grow in your company people management, because
Mhm.
people management is not the right thing for every single person in your company. And if you view it that way, you're going to have leadership challenges. So, those are kind of fundamental things. But I would say communication post COVID, you have a lot of things at play. If you have a remote team, the way that you communicate, what tools you use, are you face to face on video? For what conversations? Are you getting on
Yeah.
the phone, toneless or contextless communication? So, are you teamsing everything? And so they're reading it through their head versus what you're saying. There's so much that gets missed, even if you have a hybrid team. If you're in office, what are the politics at play? Do people feel like they can protect their time, or are you
Right.
always allowed to interrupt them? There's so much with communication and just being able to understand and read a room as a manager, and that is a skill That is not inherent for every single person. That is a skill that you develop, that you're trained on, and that you actively work, right? It's a muscle. It's not like you magically get it one day and now you're perfect with people. We all have to constantly be working and doing the reps.
And so how receptive, like, I feel this is as you're talking, I'm like, I wonder, it's kind of like, like when people call you, are they like, hey, I'm X company, X position, and I have a problem. Like, can you help me? Like, is it easy for people to seek out the help that you offer because it's like needed, or is it more like some other higher level manager seeks you, hey, you got to help this person out because they don't know what they're doing. Can you help them level up? How does it work?
There's a few different ways that I've had these conversations, and I have gone directly to managers and worked with them. And then I've also gone the B2B route. And just based on my own ethos, I really feel like companies should be investing in managers versus managers investing in themselves. I think it's always good to invest in yourself, but just from my own founder ethos, I don't feel right charging managers for my program. I really believe the company needs to invest. It needs to be a continued effort. So I may not be forever, but they want to build infrastructure to really be successful and see continued change. But it's less of I have a problem. It's more of I have a gap and I need getting buy-in from.
This is why you're the pro. I'm like, man, can you help me with this issue I got? You know, I'm like,
I can help you with that issue too. I'm like that. But there's no right way for someone to say, hey, I may need your support. But it's typically I have a gap, or we're trying this, or we have this in place. I'd really like to see this. Is that something that you offer? But it always usually involves getting stakeholders from other, the C-suite has to sign off on really all of this most of the time. There's very few HR leaders that really own the budget in this space. And that's another conversation, because how do you run a function and not own the budget for it and really truly own the authority? And I think there's a lot put on HR that's asked of them in terms of accountability without really full authority.
Right. Man, I know we have a couple minutes left here, but how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way to connect you, follow you, all the things?
LinkedIn. Follow me, DM me. My website, ponderthisconsulting.com, is a great place to just get more information. You can also contact me from there. If you're an Instagram user, I do have an Instagram, Ponder This Consulting, but I would say LinkedIn is probably where I'm most active and vibrant. If you really want an email or a phone number, I can get that to you as well.
Cool. And we'll leave it with kind of your biggest advice or tip for your potential future client. What would you tell them to work on, or what they need to be thinking about?
Think in terms of ROI and conversations about money. I think one of the biggest gaps I see for HR leaders is they think in terms of people and culture, but it's really hard to get buy-in from a full C-suite on culture, on people. And that's just a harsh reality of business. And so start thinking in numbers, start thinking in ROIs. If you need a calculator for that, I literally created one. I'm happy to give that to you for free, no strings attached, but really start thinking about how do I communicate this and translate this in a language that the rest of the C-suite is going to hear, understand, and be able to see the positive things that will come from this investment.
I love it. Ashley Waddington, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you being a guest on the All In Recruiting Podcast here, brought to you by the Purple Acorn Network. And hopefully we could do another one in the future.
For sure. Thank you for having me. Always great to see you and chat with you.
Thanks, Ashley. We'll see you later. That was Ashley Waddington, everybody, from Ponder This Consulting. Super good conversation. Great kind of perspective on what it's like today for middle management to kind of level up and be trained by people like her. So if you're interested in, contacting her, please DM her on LinkedIn or her website, and you all should be good. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the All In Recruiting Podcast. I'm your host, Enrique. Please subscribe, click the link, comment wherever you see this or hear this. Just remember that it's tough out there. The markets are tough. Jobs are tough. Hiring, firing. But just remember, when you come here, Enrique cares. I care about you. I want to help you. I want to support you, whether you're hiring or looking for your next role. Hopefully this podcast helps you out. Thank you all so much.